Hey everybody, I'm back, and today's video I'm going to do one that's a little bit opposite. Often we're all talking about what we really like and our favorite this and our favorite that. So as a huge Benchmade fan, I'm actually going to do a video on my least favorite, most hated Benchmade knife in their whole lineup today. I'm working on a new video that you guys will see soon. It's kind of like a week's worth of EDC and stuff like that and what and why, but that'll come down the line. But in the course of it, I started carrying around a blade that I haven't carried in a long time, and it's just been sitting in a drawer, and it's the Benchmade 755 Mini Pocket Rocket. And in carrying it, I remembered why I hate this knife so very, very much. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So starting off, as a reminder, I am a huge, huge Benchmade fan. I love just about everything that they make. But this just kind of ended up being a big disappointment to me. When I first got into knife collecting and everything, I was looking at this online, and I said, man, that looks really cool. And it was about $250 or whatever, I can't remember exactly. Back in those days, $250 to me was a ridiculous, unheard of amount to spend on a knife. And that was, you know, before I started learning about the materials and what makes them good, and names like Strider and Hinderer and all the other ones that, you know, now $250. I mean, not saying that's a small chunk of change to throw away on anything, but you know, compared to some of the ones that I have now, $250 is not bad. And just as a side note, I ended up getting this 755 for a lot less than retail anyway. So, but it was one of the ones I really wanted. It looked special. It looked kind of fancy, pretty, made of great steel with a great designer's name on it. And it was one that I just kind of wanted and wanted and wanted. And then finally I got it. And when I did, I was just like, man, this thing sucks. But anyway, let's talk about it a little bit. So, number one, designed by Shane Seibert. He's the daddy behind Benchmade's 275 Adamus series, which I love to death, and most people do too. And you can kind of see the family resemblance here. If you look at the lines together, the groove, the general shape of the blade, the size and shape of the thumb studs, it really is kind of, you can tell they come from the same mind with the same general idea. So the quick specs on this, overall length is 6.9 inches. Blade is 2.9 inches, a little small for my taste, but you know, there you go. Overall the weight though, that's what's kind of so out of whack with the size and shape of this knife. It's 5.5 ounces, which is pretty heavy for something like this. And you owe that mainly to big piece of titanium forming the frame and lock. And then, and while it's a short blade, it's a very thick, chunky blade made of M390, so that's where really the weight comes from, pretty much. It's a monolock knife, or frame lock. Be honest, I'm not sure if those are two different things, but anyway. I've had this for a while, and you can see that the lockup is still relatively early. You see that little stop bar there that's supposed to stop it from going too far in? We're not even nearly there yet. So I've just played with this a lot, you know, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing, and it's still wearing very nicely there. Forest green or Ranger green or Hunter green G10, depending on what company you buy it from, has all different names, but nice big piece, very sort of Strider-esque there, the way they've got the handle designed. Okay, one big solid piece forming the handle and the frame and the backspacer for this side, and then just a little bit covering the rear half of the frame on the back. But it's a nice look. I actually would like it if it matched a little bit of the titanium on this side, a little bit of titanium on this side, but that's the way they chose to do it. So the first thing that I don't like about this is the shape of it and the size. It's chunky. Where this clip isn't entirely comfortable, and I prefer just a larger knife, you know? The blade size, I guess really, honestly, you don't need a 4-inch blade walking around just EDC day to day, but I would like a little bit longer knife, especially something that would sort of balance out the handle a little bit better. But the biggest thing that I can't stand about this is the lock. It is the stickiest, most locking up titanium frame lock I've ever seen in my life. And, you know, there's no good solution for it on this knife. And I don't know if everybody has this problem, but I've talked to a handful of other 755 owners, and it's kind of a common problem throughout the whole line, which you'd think Benchmade would have put a little bit more time and effort into that. But we're going to get to that real quick. But in general, see... There we go. See, now it's kind of loosened up. I've been playing with it a little bit. But it feels solid. You know, and if you're going to carry it around, the length isn't too bad for a pocket carry, but you know, it's pretty thick. It really is much thicker than, say, here's next to an SNG, and you can see the difference there. Here we are next to an XM18, and you can see the difference there. And of course, you know, you take the Adamus, which is designed to be a hard use field type knife, you know, then it kind of matches. But that's not exactly what you'd want from an EDC type pocket knife, right? I'm comparing it today to the Strider SNG and the Hinderer XM18 because, you know, they're knives built kind of, in my opinion, similar construction, you know, similar materials, high-end steel on the blade, titanium on the frame side. But you can see right away, the 755 is just way shorter than the Hinderer or the Strider right there. So if you are looking for the little extra blade length, it's just not there. If you look at the size of the titanium locks here, Hinderer is just a little bit bulkier, but all three of them are pretty much, they match up about the same size going on there. The lockup on the XM18 is a lot earlier and a lot better. This SNG's been played with and worn. I mean, it's old. It's a really old one. So, I mean, that's worn in a lot. But you can see it's really not too far off from the Benchmade, which is not nearly as used as the SNG. And here we go. Here we are right now with what I was talking about before. This lock has just, it has stuck in there. Oh my gosh. And when it gets like this, usually you've got to just kind of pry a finger in there to open it up. Did you hear that clicking noise of it unsticking? You know, and it's a shame because when it works well. It slides open real easy. Real nice sound there. Nice, good, chunky sound when it's closing up, and that detent's getting in there too. But it's the times when that lock sticks, and you know, you'll go through, you know, a few rounds of opening where it doesn't, and then all of a sudden, here we are again. Bam. Just stuck. And that's the main issue I have with this knife, because I could really love this knife overall if it wasn't for that. Now, I've tried various methods of unsticking this thing, and it just, you know, short of getting a carbonizer and doing that in there, that I can't think of anything. But if you look at the tolerance anyway, it's so tight in there. If I were to get a carbonizer and actually coat that titanium, I don't know how that would affect the operation of the knife. It might not even fit anymore, because they built it so tight. I don't even know. Okay, now we'll just take a little look on the inside and see what's going on in there. And I will caution everybody, once again, as I do every now and then, disassembling a Benchmade knife completely voids the warranty, and they do have a great warranty. So if you have one that you want to mess with, you know, just be aware that that's what's going on if you should disassemble it. And there we go. Very simple construction, you know, as you can see. Well, like I said before, one-piece backspacer with the frame. These guys are actually anchored in there, so they don't slide out. Same thing with the pivot bolt. The pivot bolt doesn't come directly out unless you kind of tap it with a hammer a little bit, but that's not what I want to get at right now anyway. There is the source of all the problems and everything I hate. So just one trick that does work sometimes is just a standard old #2 graphite lead pencil. You just sort of cover the lock there a little bit. And this isn't like a forever solution. It wears off, obviously, but it lets the lock grab pretty tight and lock on well. But the graphite gives it sort of that anti-stick coating. It's almost like Teflon, I guess, sort of, if you know, for the analogy anyway. So you put a little bit on the lock itself, and then we'll put a little bit on the back of the blade there where it grabs. So once that's done, we're just going to put this guy back together. This thing's super smooth, by the way, just sitting on the post. Another common thing I see people do when they take apart their own knives, put them back together, you don't need to like torque these things in. You just need to put them till they're tightened up to the point where regular pressure doesn't turn them anymore, and then leave them alone. Because you can over-tighten these screws really easily, especially the pivot bolt. You can end up stripping the heads here with too much pressure, and then it skips and starts grinding. If you're really having a lot of trouble, rather than just using brute force, I recommend put a little drop of Loctite on the screw and just screw it in with the normal pressure and then let it dry like that. Right. Just put that pivot bolt back on, and we'll just make sure everything works nice and good before we put the clip back on, since you gotta have the clip off to access that screw. Okay, when I'm putting the pivot bolt back on, what I like to do is actually watch the centering of the blade, because the way you know you've got good tightness on that is when the blade ends up working itself nice and centered. There we go. Don't need it any tighter than that. See? Super smooth now. Doesn't even make a noise. Unfortunately, that graphite does wear off, and with this particular knife, it's a little hard to get back in there because of that ridge kind of that's in there, but feels really good opening and closing when it all works right. So once you've got that done, this thing, it's beautiful. And, you know, as long as that graphite hasn't worn off yet, it's going to open and close for you perfectly. But the problem is, I know that graphite will wear off eventually. And it's going to be right back to the stickiness. But in the meantime, it's awesome. It's just the constant having to maintain that and go back and fix it is what makes this one of my least favorite knives. I mean, besides that, this thing does come super razor sharp right out of the box. I've had this for a little while now, have not sharpened it one single time, and, you know, right out of the box, super, super sharp, just slices through anything. So, I mean, it's got that going for it. And that, again, I attribute it to the M390 steel that just holds its edge like none other. So, I mean, if what you're looking for is just that M390 blade steel in a pretty package, you've got the Benchmade 581, which gives you that in a pretty package. I mean, to me anyway, it looks great. A little bit of a cheaper knife, and as a bonus there, you get the spring assist. Man, that sounds nice. But I mean, it is, blade-wise, just as awesome. So there you go. I know not everybody's going to agree with me on this, but as a huge Benchmade fan, someone with quite a Benchmade collection, if I had to choose one that I was going to get rid of, or one that was just, you know, like I said earlier, my least favorite in the Benchmade lineup, the 755 would be it. That's just my opinion. You guys might disagree. If you disagree, feel free to put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Anyway, coming up real soon, guys. I know everybody's been waiting for my next giveaway. Why do I do so many giveaways? I like giving stuff away. It's good karma. It makes me feel good. I like, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have a really nice collection going. I've been in a position where I can collect some really cool knives, and I know other people want to also. So anyway, I've had people ask all the time why I do it so often. I just really like doing it. Do you guys mind? I don't think so. Anyway, I wanted to do the limited edition Benchmade Griptilian giveaway in conjunction with the unboxing and mini review of the 7505, but since Benchmade has no good timetable now as for when that's coming out, I just don't know what to do. The way I want to run the contest and the giveaway, the way I've set it up, really does kind of fit with doing it in conjunction with that, and I don't want to say any more than that right now, but I've got it all figured out and how we're going to do it. Giving away a total of 3 knives, the Benchmade and then 2 others. We're going to give Benchmade a little line in the sand across there. So let's say if they haven't come out with the 7505 by, I don't know, we're going to go with October 15th. Maybe we'll roll that back a little earlier. I don't know, but October 15th. If it's not out and in my hands by October 15th, we're going to go ahead and do the giveaway anyway, and we'll just have to do the 7505 video on its own. Other than that, I hope you guys keep watching. I really appreciate the fact that so many people want to watch and comment and have good things to say. All the ideas you're giving me of stuff I could do is awesome. All the requests for custom work is really awesome. Keep it coming, because I got plenty of time now. Other than that, I just hope we get to do that giveaway real soon and we get that new Benchmade out so everybody can see it. I know there's a lot of people excited about it. You know, maybe even more than me. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll be back again real soon.